G'day folks. Well, over the years we have filmed hundreds of incredibly talented people across the world. Many of these artists have gone on to produce their own videos as well. We hope you enjoy this great lesson from one of our Colour in Your Life artists.
Hello everybody, we are here today at the Green Art House, and today is going to be a wonderful little lesson on how to render the basic geometric shape of a sphere. It's just a ball. It's not a circle, okay? There's a difference. A circle is flat. We want to render a ball, so we're going to have several different values. We're going to have several different turning edges and cast edges, so there'll be firmer edges and harder edges and softer edges. So I'll compile all those together and I'll show you how to render a ball that will look 3D in atmosphere. Okay? So here we'll get started. I have some tools here. This is just a simple sketch pad, you know, nothing special. I'll use a circle template for this to get the drawing of my circle just in the right spot. I have tortillons, which are basically shaders. They are just paper wrapped, and as you can see, I've used a little bit already, and there's some charcoal on there, and it's just to help shade some of the soft edges. A kneaded eraser, which is a wonderful tool. You can help take off some of that charcoal where you don't need it. It picks it up really nicely, and then all you have to do is clean up the kneaded eraser, is just pull it apart and just turn it into itself. Okay? A brush, I sometimes use a brush to handle some of the softer edges to really fade out and vignette the backgrounds. And then a chamois here, which takes off a lot more charcoal, which will help take out to get to some more of the white part of the paper. Okay, well, let's get started here. The pencils are really simple. They're just charcoal pencils, 2B, so they're a little bit softer charcoal. Take my circle template. And just get a really simple circle mapped out right there for me. I'm going to have the light source. Coming down from this way, okay? So we'll have it about 11 o'clock. So our highlight will be here. We'll have a lot of our halftones. We'll get into our mid-half tones, our core shadow, mid-darks, and then reflective lights, and then our cast shadow, which will come out this way. All right? So how I'll start this is just a simple coloring in, or I should say shading in, of the whole circle. Just a nice flat tone over the whole thing. And then I can take my brush, soften it a little bit, get it a little blended into the paper. If you want to blend it in more, you can if you like. So you can just take your chamois. And I like to do circles. It gets it blended a little more. There we go. So we have a nice even value over that whole circle, which we are now going to render into a ball to make it look 3D. I'll start off with some of my mid halftones. Okay, and as I go into the shadow, I'm going to press a little bit firmer and I'll darken it up a little bit more. Go a little bit deeper into the shadows and just press a little bit firmer and darken it a little bit more. So as I'm getting farther away from the light, I'm pressing firmer with my charcoal pencil to get more charcoal on the paper to make it darker. And then here's your reflective light. This is what is called ambient light, which would be bouncing in the opposite direction up onto the surface of the ball here. And we know that it's not as light as the light source, so I'm going to lightly put some charcoal over the top of this one into that reflective ambient area. Just a nice couple of passes, soft passes. And then I'm going to figure out with my light source, I'm going to figure out where my cast shadow will end up being. In this area here, where the ball is actually touching the surface of whatever it's sitting on, is called the occlusion shadow. Okay, so it's the absence of light, complete absence of light. And as it gets farther away, it gets lighter. So I'm pressing lighter and lighter as I go out. And then as I go back in again, I'll start pressing firmer and firmer. See how it's darker to lighter? That's what you're looking for. And then here, since this is a cast, we can make this a nice hard or firm edge going this way. And as it gets away from the ball again, that's when you want to go softer. You want to keep it soft. Okay? So this is a really basic beginning, basic start. Now I'm going to come in with the tortillon, and I'm just going to shade it a little bit. Going to lightly press because I want my transitions to be smoother. Once again, that reflective light can't be lighter than your light source area, which you'll see in a minute. I'll change that up. And we'll do the shadow as well, the cast shadow. All right, I'm going to go back into it and I'll start to draw out some of the layers of values, and I'll call them out. So this way you'll get to see them. Let's take our kneaded eraser first though and show where that light source is coming from. So I want to put that little dot right there. See that? It's subtle for right now. It'll get stronger as we start to develop more and more of these halftone values that are around it. All right, so there's our highlight of our ball. And as I come back down here, these are our halftones, which is still in the light family. And as you go into the shadow, this is the core shadow. Right here, this dark. And then up here, all this light right here, that is our ambient light or our reflective light that's bouncing off from this surface right here onto the ball. Okay? So as I come back up in here, I'll get to about right here. And I'll start to develop that core shadow a little stronger. And what the core shadow is where the light starts to miss your object. So as the light's passing through here, your ball is turning And as it's turning, the light is actually missing that so that it starts to get darker. And it starts to get off into your shadow. So there's your core shadow. And I can come back in again, soften it a little bit, make a nice transition into my mid halftones, which is up here towards my light source. And once again, very important that your reflective lights are not lighter than your halftones in your light source. They are still in the shadow family. Get a nice transition from that, a nice soft transition. Of course, if you're working with metals or anything that's really highly reflective, then there would be a little bit of a firmer edge or firmer transitions between values. But I'm going to keep this soft for this demonstration here. So there'll be a nice soft transition between them. Go back into my shadow. Make this a little bit darker. I'm pressing pretty firmly at this point. And then as I come out again, remember, nice and soft. You want that cast shadow to lighten up and disappear as it goes this way. Okay, and if you want to stretch it a little bit more, I have a white chalk pencil here. So I have my highlight sitting right there. And then I can also just come in here and just work a little bit of the halftones. Start to lighten up some of these areas here. And I'm pressing very lightly at this point. I don't want to deposit a whole lot of white chalk. I'm trying to stay in the light family, but I don't want to deposit too much of the chalk. So I'm in the halftones right now. Traveling off towards the core shadow, which is this dark right here. I'm traveling off into this, which will be the mid halftones. And they would meet up with my core shadow. And here again, pressing very lightly. Now coming over here, I want to soften this a little bit more. So I'm just going to take that white. Just put it right over the top of it very lightly. Cause that shadow to get nice and soft. Even this back edge right here, since it's beyond the ball that way to make it look a little bit more 3D, this edge needs to be softer than this edge. And that'll help push it farther back for you. All right, so let me call out these parts now. highlight, right in here. Those are half tones. Okay. Right in here. Now you're talking mid half tones. And then right in here, this dark, remember this dark is very important. That is your core shadow. And then right in here, that is your reflective light or ambient, which could be light or color, depending on what color or value this surface is that is bouncing the light up. This here is your cast shadow. Okay? So there you have it. Really simple. Anything that you render that you want, if it's in a circular form that you want it to look 3D so that it comes off the surface you're painting, these simple values right here with your highlight, your halftones, your mid halftones, your core shadow, your reflective or your ambient lights, your cast shadow, and that will do it. That will help make that object look really 3D. So I hope you enjoyed this, and look for the other ones because I'm going to do the other geometric shapes. So sign in for those as well.